Hello, it's Melinda from Scrapbooking and Craft. I do apologise, this is not live, but my internet had other opinions of me going live at 4 p.m. on Friday afternoon. So welcome to the Great Australian Craft Show with Craft Alive. So today in our demo we are going to play with chipboard and make it all fancy and pretty, not so boring. So this is one particular way you can decorate chipboard. You can decorate it a huge amount of ways, and over the next 2 days we'll be using chipboard in a few more projects, and then this event will run at the start of July and the start of August, and we'll be doing some more demos and displays and hopefully some in between. See what time permits. So I've just got a layout here. These are my daughter's two bunnies when they were a lot younger. If you're in our alcohol demonstration live this morning, this white bunny was being a problem. She was... Hopefully they'll be nice to me. They're in the back of the room I film in. They were ripping shreds out of a cardboard box. But this is Snow, the white one, and Midnight. This is when they were just tiny. They're now a year old. Okay, back to what we're doing. We're going over the bunnies. So this, on the chipboard, this was a piece of flat chipboard, and we've put texture paste on it, and we've put waxes on it. So just to give it a bit more dimension. If it was really flat, it's flat like this bit of chipboard. So if you just paint this black, looks a bit boring, so we want to add some spark and interest to it. So my daughter actually did this layout last year, and this is the one I did. I'm just spinning around to drop that on behind my desk. So this is a tree. Again, the tree started off as a boring flat chipboard, as all our chipboard is flat, and we've actually put some texture paste on it to make it look more like a tree. So if I can actually get it to shine, you can see all the texture on it. So it does add a lot of dimension to the page. So this is a layout I did last year with the two little bunnies. They're still cute, but they're not that baby anymore. They don't sit around for me to get pictures. They used to get really tired and then flop, and I could get good pictures of them. But now they run around like mad idiots most of the day. All you get is bits of fluff flashing past. So these are the waxes we're going to use a bit later on. I did have 4. There's my other wax. So these waxes come from Hillbilly Scrapping, Jen from Hillbilly Scrapping, and I do a lot of events together, well before COVID-19 hit. So I use all her products that she stocks in the mixed media to decorate my chipboard. I actually don't stock anything apart from the products that I make and manufacture, which is chipboard stencils and stamps. So unfortunately, don't go looking on my website for the waxes. You have to go to Hillbilly's site to do that. Just going to leave a couple of them there because my camera doesn't like to focus on the whiteness. So we're going to take some of these plain chipboard pieces and some of my stencils, and we're going to give this chipboard some dimension and some place for the waxes to highlight and grooves and crevices for them to go in. When you're choosing stencils for this sort of project, you have to bear in mind scale. And what I mean by scale is if I pick this particular stencil, excuse it that it's pink, I was using it in the alcohol demonstration this morning, alcohol inks. If I chose a little heart like this and did this, you're not getting much of a design. You're going to get like 3 stripes. Well, if that's the design you want, that's great, but it's not very appealing. So this type of stencil is great on a large tag like this, and you can do like half of one, and we'll do half of one, and that'll look really, really cool. So say for this little heart, we could put some mermaid scales on it, and that's a much better scaling to the size. But with the little heart, I've got another trick to do. Again, with this size circle, this stencil looks okay when you line it up, sort of to get a couple of these big jewels in it. Looks much better with the mermaid scales, with the smaller scale on it. So again, if we use this stencil, you're not sort of getting much decorative look on it. You're getting like 3 stripy lines, and that's about it. So do bear that in mind with scale of your chipboard. So we are going to play with texture paste. Now, texture paste has so many different names and so many different brands. I'm playing with one from Aldi I picked up a couple of years ago. They don't sell it anymore, actually. I haven't seen it since. But it's also called, this one's called, I think, modelling, what's this one called? Model paste. It's called texture paste. It's called modelling cream. It's called impasto medium. Basically anything that dries bumpy, lumpy we want. Hillbilly Scrapping has a wide variety of modelling paste and texture paste. This particular one is white, but it comes in pre-coloured. You can colour the white one. as well, so you can do a lot of things with it. So I just want to grab some out on my spatula, on the back of my spatula, because that's easier to work with. So I'm going to use this stencil here, and I'm going to go on half my tag. I'll turn it around this way. I'm hoping the camera isn't trying to focus in and out. That's why I'm sort of leaving these here. If I just have the white piece of paper, my camera tends to want to autofocus, which is not really good. It sort of goes fuzzy, then goes clear. And I can't see if it's doing it while I'm filming. Okay, so with our texture paste in the bottom of our palette knife, or our old credit card, we are going to scrape, we are going to scrape through the stencil and basically fill up all the holes of the stencil. Doesn't matter which direction you're scraping on most stencils. Just be a bit careful if you've got a more fine stencil. It's a bit more fragile. Just need to grab a bit more paste. You just want to be a bit careful which directions you scrape. But this one's pretty good. So I'm just going to go off the side where this stencil is, just to give it a bit of interest as well. So I'm just going to go down here. And this texture paste is going to go slightly pink because I've got alcohol ink on the stencil. But that's okay. We're going to paint it with gesso in a minute anyway. So it's all good. The only real time I clean my stencils 100% is when I actually use texture paste. Texture paste will dry and wreck your stencils. Paint and alcohol inks won't really matter. They just stain them a bit. They come off eventually. So just cleaning up the edges a little. You can clean up any big fat lines. Has bled a little here under the stencil, but that's okay. I'm not looking for perfection. I am just going to see if I can take out these hard lines here just by touching it with the tool. And that one is done. So let's put that one aside to dry. We are going to go on and do another one. What one will we do next? We will do this big sucker here, this big tag. So this big one, yes, I can use these Little Mermaid scales, but this one's a bit better proportion. And because you've got a 6x6 stencil, does not mean you have to use the entire stencil. So I can do this one quite grungy. I can just do bits of it. So we'll just put a bit here. Move our stencil. This one's a great stencil to move. Just grabbing some more out of the jar. We'll just do another one here. I'm going to move it and do a little bit more down the bottom. So this particular one, I'm not being real careful or gentle. I'm sort of just putting it here, there and everywhere. Got to grab some more. Just because I want a more distressed look on this tag. And I'm going to line it up here and just put a few swipes that way. So you can be as neat. If you like things really, really neat, you can make sure all the holes are filled in evenly and really, really neat. So around this tag, I'm actually going to want to put a bit of a border. Not that much, but I'll come back and grab some of that. So I'm just going to sort of have my spatula at about 45-degree angle and just tap some on the sides just to build up a little bit of a decoration. And when we put the waxes on, we can really catch this side lumpiness, if I put it that way. So just taking it off the edge and off the back and just trying to get it on the front. I'll come pick it up from here where I blobbed a big blob. So just again using the back of the spatula, just putting it down. This will just give it a decorative edge. Just trying to hold this and not stick my fingers in it. So texture paste is great to put on chipboard, put on paper, put on all sorts of things. I'm sure if you dive into your stash, you've got some chipboard in your stash that's big and bulky. Even if it's got a printed, back a few years ago, a lot of companies, and they still do it nowadays, you buy chipboard in a sheet and it's got printed designs on it. If you don't like the printed design, put texture paste over the top of it and gesso it like we're going to do in a minute. And then you can create that piece into another piece that you'll actually use, as opposed to a piece that you don't like the colours of, which is really cool. So we're going to do this little mermaid frame here. I'm just going to leave one of those there so my camera doesn't have a hissy fit at me. So this one has got some details on it which will show up when you paint or ink it, because it's these sea lines are drawn, or the waves are drawn into the chipboard. But what I want to do is actually put some mermaid scales on the bottom. The sides around here are a bit skinny to put the design of the stencil on, but I'll show you a trick so we can tie it all together, because if you put texture paste down here and don't put it anywhere else, it'll sort of look funny. Just putting all my stencils in a pile. I will go pop them in a bucket of water in just a second. So just scraping off any extra side. Now if we look at this, you've got texture down here, but you've got nothing on the rest of it. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to just take what's on the back of our spatula and we're just going to do an up and down motion, and we're just going to put a thin coat of the texture paste. Sorry if the table's rocking. I'm just going to spin this around. So we're not wanting this to be flat, we're sort of pouncing up and down, and if you put, it's bouncing up and down away from me, if you put too much on, just go back and scrape it off and just pounce up and down again. So you're wanting it not to be flat. That's the whole purpose of doing this. If you get some on your table or your bit of mat that you're protecting, just, I missed it completely. Pounce up and down. I need some more. So as you can see, we're not using much paste at all, and any that's not used, you can pick this up. I can scrape all that up and I can go again. So just pouncing up and down, and this will just allow us to get some dimension on there. So when we put our waxes on, our waxes have got something to sort of adhere to. So now I'm just going to fill in the bits where it wasn't and put a little bit on the whale tail. And I'm going to just do a little bit on these waves, just so they're not flat. You don't need a lot, just need a little bit just to give it a little bit of a lift. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to cover it up anyway. So we're just going to make sure, we're going to go on the inside like this and make sure we don't have any huge bits. We've got a big bit over here, so we're just going to pounce it out. Going to scrape around here. And that piece is going to go across to dry as well. So I was working on half of this tree before. So what I've done with the tree is I've opted not to use a stencil. We're actually done with the stencil, so I'm just going to pause and go dump those in a bucket of water, and then I can wash them later. Might be a little better with lighting if I turn the overhead light on. I had my 2 spotlights on, but I didn't have my overhead light on. Now, back to our tree. So I've just put our stencils in a bucket of water, and I will deal with those later. What I tend to do is have a bucket of water in my laundry sink, and as I'm crafting throughout the day, I'll throw all my stuff in there that needs washing, and then I'll wash them at the end. As long as you put them in a bucket of water, the texture paste will stay soft, then you can easily wash it off. So I was working on this tree earlier to show you, and I didn't have 2 of the tree handy, so I couldn't do one and then show you another one. So as you can see under the black gesso, which is what we're going to do to our other shapes in a minute, is it's all lumpy. So all I did with this one is I took some texture paste on the back of my spatula and just pounced it up and down, just to give it a look of, and we don't want it too thick. You can go as thick as you want, I suppose. So we're just going to tap it up and down just to give it some texture, so it looks like a bark of a tree, because it does look a bit flat on your page if it's just the bit of chipboard. So going from all different directions. Doesn't matter if you're seeing a bit of the chipboard through your texture paste, like we've got down here. We're going to cover that with black gesso as the top bit is in a minute, so that doesn't matter. So we've come to our circles. We're going to put some, actually not our circles, sorry, our hearts and our cogs. We're going to do some things to those. So with the heart, I decided it was a bit small for the stencils I had. So what I did was just put some texture paste on it. It's like buttering up cookies, isn't it? It's funny here sitting talking to myself and not talking back to anyone in a live. So after I've got sort of a little bit of a layer on there, I can leave it all puffy like that. What I did is took the side and actually gently tapped some lines into it just to get the texture, just to get some more pattern. Got a big blob on that side, I'll get off. Just to get some more texture into it, just to add a bit more interest. So I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see, there's sort of lines, and you'll see it a bit more when we put the waxes on it. So I'm just going to do the cog. Got to do something boyish, don't we? I don't scrap a lot of boys, so I forget about the boys. So I grab some cogs to demo on as well. So just putting a layer on and just going to do the same thing I did with the heart. Just turning the cog round and just tapping it. Well, there goes my phone bipping. Just tapping it round and around just till I'm happy. And we're just not wanting to have huge peaks. Okay. Just cleaning up the top of my jar of texture paste so when I put the lid on it doesn't stick. And I'm just going to grab if I can, I've got wet stuff everywhere beyond the film, beyond the realms of where you can see. I'm just going to wipe my spatula with a baby wipe. Did I just put that in there? I may have just put my texture paste in my wet texture paste. Just going to wipe this off with a wet baby wipe so it doesn't dry like cement on my piece. So we're going to put this tree aside to dry. What I had prepared for the live is I've pre-painted some because I don't like to use my heat tool in the live unless I absolutely have to because it's very loud. I'm trying to track down a quiet one. Okay, so this is one that I prepared earlier of the whale. What I've done is I've actually coated all these pieces with either, I'm just moving these wet pieces out so I don't accidentally pick those up. I can move that out there as well. So I've coated these pieces either with white or black gesso because I wanted you to show you the waxes on the two different surfaces. I've used them mainly on the black because you get a deeper look, but they also look cool on the white as well. So the gesso I like to use is actually Montmartre gesso, and Jen from Hillbilly Scrapping sells this as well. She is in the process of updating her website and loading all her products on, but she has thousands of products, so it's a work in progress. So any products that you see, I believe the waxes are on the website. If there's any products I mention or that and you can't find on a website, just message me or Jen and I will get Jen to get in contact with you. She does mail order, phone orders, message orders. She does any sort of ordering. Okay, so let's play with these waxes. What colours have I got? I've got green, blue. We'll do old denim and green. I should have opened these packets before. So these come in tiny little tins, which I've got wet texture paste everywhere. So my jars are all nice and new because I bought these from Jen the other day. Let's open this one. This one that says, okay, so old denim is just a metallic. Peacock is just a metallic rich copper is just a metallic. This one that says opal magic, when you see the word opal magic on a Primer product, it means, hey, I change colour dramatically depending on what surface you paint me on. And we're actually playing with the Opal Magic acrylic paints yesterday. So this one, you'll see a dramatic change in colour with the green brocade from the white to the black. The other ones change a little, but it's more prominent with these Opal Magic ones. I don't have my scissors near me. Oh, come on, plastic, you can't be that hard to open. Okay. So the waxes come in about 30 or 40 different colours. I believe there's some new ones out that I saw on Jen's, one of Jen's videos she did the other day, but I haven't been up to her place in a few weeks due to the lockdown we're on. We're coming out of lockdown. These have a nice waxy smell too. So they're a wax product. They're not like a paint product. So the best way to apply them is you've got to wait until your gesso is 100% dry. If you put this onto wet gesso, it'll mix with the gesso and it won't like it. And if you can hear ripping in the background, that is the bunny. And I bet that is the white bunny, because she is the most terrible bunny that rips all the cardboard boxes I give her. Just rips them to shreds. Okay, so we're going to start on this big tag because this will be easy to see. We're going to start with old denim. So to apply these waxy products, you can actually use a stenciling brush. Jen usually sells these, but she was out of stock when I went to order last. She may have new stock in. As I said, I've been up to her place for a few weeks. They're like a pack of 3 for $5, so they're really reasonably priced, $5 or $6. I don't usually like to quote prices because things go up and things go down, or things usually go up with the product. So it's like a creamy wax, and you don't need a lot of this, and these will actually go a long way. And I've got far too much on that brush because so I'm just brushing some off into the lid. So I usually pick it up from the lid, but we basically just touch it. We don't dig it in. We don't want product right up to our brush. We just want it on the tip. Then we want to go in sort of a circular motion, and I like to hold the bristles close to the brush as opposed to holding up the top. And then we go round and round and round. So as you can see, the blue is coming on the tag. So I've got far too much there. As I said, this goes a long way. So I just go back and pick it up and move it round the piece. The more you go over it and polish like this, the more it will luster up and colour up. As you can hear it, it's going up and over the texture paste. So this is our base colour. And I'm going to bring some green in, but while I've got blue in my brush, I'm actually going to come in and do this one. And then I'm going to do some blue on the white so you can see the different colours. So just going round and round and round and round and round and round. As you can see, it's quite a, I don't know whether you'll be able to see it. It's quite a deep colour, like it's not a bright blue. I'll probably put a little bit more on this. So on the black, they're quite, if you think of the middle of it, is it an oyster where it's like black and you can see other colours in it? It's quite like that actually, and it sort of catches the light. So that's a bit better blue. Once I do some finger work on it in a minute, it'll turn out really, really nice. So just going back over here. So the more you polish it up, the more the colour comes up. I'm actually going to put some blue on here. So I'm going to put some blue down here. So I'm probably going to see if I've got enough in my brush. No, I don't. So I'm just going to gently tap. You don't need much at all. You can see the colour a bit more on the blue, and I'm going to add some peacocky green into this as well. So it doesn't look much at the moment, and a lot of our texture paste is not standing out. But once we come in with the second coat or the top coat and the top colour, I'm just going to put a couple of these in here so my camera doesn't do weird things. So just gently tapping, I'm barely touching the pot of cream to pick any up. And sometimes I just take it out of the lid because some will fall into the lid if you store these on their side or upside down. So just barely tapping. These little jars will last you ages. We were using them in classes last year, doing about an A4 project with people, and our jars are still half full. And we did multiple classes with them. Jen did huge canvases with hers. Obviously mine are new because I couldn't pinch Jen's to use. So actually I will go over this one as well. So when I've finished a colour, I will get some more brushes. So I my lighter colours I'll have sort of one stick for, and then I'll have a darker colour for my sticks. But to clean your sticks, all you do is you grab some paper towel. You never wash these brushes. All you do is basically go onto paper towel until no colour is coming out. Yes, it looks like we've still got blue in here, but it's stained into the bristles and it's not going to come out. Obviously, if you're changing to a really, really light colour, I would designate a brush to that light colour. But this works just as well. Let's do some of this green brocade, which is the magic colour changing one. So when you're using the waxes, it's all about building up layers. And never take more than one lid off your waxes at one time, because this obviously doesn't look like green brocade. This goes on a lot darker in green. So what our rule is only take one pot lid off at any one time, because then you know what colour it is, because sometimes the colours don't reflect actually what they are. So I'm just going to mush that into the brush. I'm just going to come in and do some green. As I said, on the white, this green will be like a pearlescent colour, but as you see when I go on the black, it's more of a deep green. Oh, I've had a bristle escape. Oh, there we go, I got it off of my finger. I had a bristle escaping from my brush. So as you can see, you can work one colour in over the top of the other. When you put two colours on, you do go up and over that first colour. Might bring a bit of peacock into this as well. So when you're working with the waxes, it's all about your happiness of how much colour you've got on there. A bit more green over here. So you can almost not see it, but you can see the shine of it. So let's move on to our black tag, because I do like this colour. Certain wax colours work better on certain black or white. This one works much better on the darker colour. It's good to experiment as well and swatch out these colours. So paint some tags like I did yesterday in the Opal Magic class. Paint some tags, half black and half white with gesso, and then have an experiment. See how I've got bits of green here? I'm just waiting for my laptop to see how I've got bits of green. You can see the green and the blue. So I'm going to put a bit more green down here. So it's quite subtle on the tag until we go and add the next layer. So we're basically building up the background by doing this. You don't have to coat the entire part of the black. It's nice to leave some black coming through. But when I bring the rich copper on top, it's actually a fantastic colour in this lot called Old Silver, and it's great for doing your highlights, but unfortunately Old Silver was not in stock when I ordered, so I got rich copper instead. So it'll do the same job. It'll just be a bit duller. So let's go over this one with a bit of the green and you'll see the true colour. Oops. So we can actually apply this with our finger. We might actually do this one with our finger. Whoops. I find the brush is great for doing like the big broad areas and getting in underneath your textured surface, and then your finger's good for doing it on top. So you can see a touch of green in that one, but what I'm going to do is come over with a metallic. Put my lid on this one. So these do have a bit of a slight odour to them, like a waxy odour, but they're a very nice product to work with, and they'll last you a lifetime in your crafting. Make sure you keep this lid, like the piece of, it's almost a thick card. It helps seal the jar. So now we're going to do our finger work over the top of this one. So I'm just going to grab the tiniest little bit on my finger. I don't need much at all. And I'm barely going to touch the surface. You can always go back and add it a bit darker, but you can't take it away. So this is going to highlight where we put our texture paste. And I'll just do a little bit, and so as you can see, I'm just highlighting the bits that are raised. So just barely touching with my finger and swirling around and burnishing it in. Oh, that was a bit heavy-handed. So it's great to do the edges as well. And this will highlight those bits of edge, bits of texture paste we put on the edge. So these are quite grungy looking pieces. I'm endeavouring to make a project out of this tag and this mermaid in the next week, and I'll post photos when I do that in my in my Facebook group. So just sort of going over, I don't have to highlight every area. I am deliberately doing the edges just to give the tag a defined edge. If I can see a mermaid or something, I'll fix that bit up here in a minute. Show you what you can do if you're a bit heavy-handed, but start off really, really light because you can always add more. And I'm not gouging my finger into the jar. I'm barely like tapping. Even just tapping on the top gets you enough colour because it picks up really nicely around the hole up the top. Oh, I'm liking this rich copper colour. Certainly different to the old silver I've been using. The old silver is almost like a white, and it's lovely for your highlights, but I do like this one as well. I believe I used the old silver on the tree and the scrapbook page I showed you this morning. So some of these wax colours are better for highlights, some of them are better for like your background colours, and it's just about experimenting with your colours. Now I do have too much up there, so what I can do is take this brush off what I've got in it and just go over it, and it will tone down. See, it's taken that colour off. So if you do put too much of the finger work or the colour on, you can actually tone it back with your brush. If you totally stuff it up, you're only one layer of gesso away from starting again. I heard that from someone. Art journaling is only one gesso layer away from perfection, trying to get that in the light. But we've sort of, you can see the blue, you can see the green, you can see the copper, and that's really, really cool. That's going to make an awesome tag. I can see a mermaid propped on top of that. So let's work on these other bits. What I'm going to do is just highlight this one with the metallic copper. I'm just going to try to move that into the middle so it's not getting caught in the thread of the jar. So I'm just going to grab the tiniest bit on my finger, and I'm just going to go over the top very lightly and show you this. Oh, this looks pretty. So the more you burnish it or go over and over it, the more it polishes up the colour. So you don't just put it on once and then leave it. You go over and over and over it. About 30 seconds to a minute to polish it up. So I'm just rubbing, try not to move my table so much. Here we go. Oh, doesn't that look nice? Almost looks like a medallion. So that's just gone over the top without putting anything in the background. So the black is still the base layer of gesso, and then I've just put my colour over the top. So let's do that with our cog as well. So our cog's got the blue on it. So let's just put a bit of, oh, just see how, just a tiny little bit of this. Hang on. Tiny little bit. See if I can get it. I'll just go wait for my camera to go clunk. See, catching that in the light? See how a tiny, tiny bit on my finger has actually brought that up to be two-toned. I know it's very hard to see in the photo. I'll take still photos of these and pop them on the Facebook group as well. So I'm just going to do, this is a heart. We just put some texture paste on and just whacked it with our craft knife. Sorry, my words are evading me tonight. I'm a bit tired tonight. I was crafting with my daughter last night, doing my examples for my alcohol class today. We're having a ball and we're up way too late. That's the problem. So even by using just the rich copper, here I can get it in the light. Oh, there we go. So these waxes can go straight over metal. They can go, let's do the peacock over that one. They can go over metal, they can go over paper. You can do a load of altering things with them. I'm just trying to get that copper off my fingers. It cleans up with water, which is really cool. So we are going to, I've got these jars dirty already, Melinda. I've got gesso on that one. Let's try to keep them clean. So we're going to go in with a peacock. I'm going to go just over these ones. Oh, this one's exploded all into the lid. But that's okay, we're going to use it from the lid. Sometimes they get bunched around in travelling and upside down and all that sort of stuff. So this one we are just going to go over the top with our finger, and we're just going to pick up the ridges of the texture paste. It's very quiet here at the moment. The bunnies have stopped making noise. So you can go as dark as you want, you can go as light as you want, you can keep building up layers. See how we've got the white in the background and we've got the black in the background on this one? So you can make a huge amount of different colours by making them white or black, which is really cool. So the white or black gesso is actually great in your stash to have as your base components. I'm going to put a bit of copper on this one. And then you can see the difference on the black and the white. Black and white gesso is probably a must-have in your stash. You can mix your white gesso with all sorts of things. And if you don't know what gesso is a primer or a undercoat that we use in the crafting industry, but you can also use it, on the top of things as well. So as you can see, the metallic goes a bit lighter on the white. It doesn't luster up as much. Personally, I prefer these waxes on darker colours, but I did want to show you what they look like on light gesso as well. So I've got the blue in the background and I've got the light. So you can the rich copper on top. So you can see the rich copper and the black looks a lot more dramatic than the blue and the on the white. Much prefer it on the black. Let's see if I can get it to shine. I'm going to go a bit darker on here. Go a little bit darker, but it's not going as intense as it did on the black. So we're just going to bring this one in. Oops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some peacock on here with our brush because that would look really, really cool. So these lids just sort of press on. They do have a twist, so you can press them on and then twist them to make them nice and tight. This one's old denim. Which one do I want? I had peacock. The only bugbear I've got about these is their names are really, really small. And for someone with low vision, got bucklies at seeing it. I love the smell of these when they first open up. So we're just going to go in with a bit of greeny peacock on this one. They certainly give you a different look on the black to the white. Have I got anything else in black? Oh, I can put some on the tree. I'll put this green on the tree in a minute because it comes up really, really nice. I'm just putting some green into here to try to darken it. So it depends what look you're looking for. It depends what look your scrapbook page or project is going for. If you want it to be dark and mysterious, you do black gesso. If you want it to be light and more true to colour, do white gesso. Have an experiment. Grab some cardboard or a tag and put the colours down and see what the colours do. See how they react with each other or how they play with each other. So I'm not sure whether you're going to pick this up on camera, but there are subtle differences with the blue and the green that I can see. I just don't know how well you're going to be able to see that on camera. You can sort of see the green down here. What I'm going to do is do some of this peacock on this tree. Just got to watch I don't do it on the end I haven't gessoed because it's still wet. So we'll do the leaves of the tree. So this peacock is a beautiful colour on the black. It's really, really intense. It's a beautiful green colour, and then I'm going to put some of the copper over the top of it, which will look really, really cool. So there's so many different ways just using gesso, texture paste and your waxes to dress up your chipboard. Just making sure your gesso is completely dried, probably even leave it overnight just to make sure all the nooks and crevices are dry, because if you put the wax into wet gesso, you have to obviously dry it off and then wait until you put another coat on, because it sort of mixes and it doesn't like it. Hang on, I'm just trying to see what I'm doing. See how that's a beautiful green colour? Oh, this lighting is a bit shocking. This is why I don't usually film at night, because the lighting, I don't have the natural light from the window coming in. What I'll do is I'll do up here and then I'll put some copper on and show you the highlights over the green. It'll be really, really nice. As you can sort of see, in the tub it looks blue. That's why I say only take one lid off. But when it goes on the black gesso, it goes this beautiful deep greeny peacocky colour. And on the white gesso, it goes the blue colour. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. She says she's happy with it and she keeps going. I won't bore you with me doing the entire tree. Okay, so let's put that lid back on. And then we'll grab the rich copper and we'll do our finger work. I'm just going to grab a little bit out of the lid and just do the raised sections. So just lightly touching the chipboard, just slightly, just got like lightly dancing your finger over. You'll see in a minute when I pick this up how this is just wow. And as I said, I'll take a picture and put it up on the Facebook group because it's sometimes hard to see in a video and it's hard to see in a picture. I struggle to get, especially because I struggle to get good pictures, especially because this is metallic. It's really hard to get good pictures of it. I've got a bit heavy-handed there, so I'll mush a bit into the background. So I can feel the texture when I'm doing it with my finger. It feels quite funny, actually. I'm just going over the top of it. The more you work it in with your finger and the more you go over it with your finger, the more it lusters up as well. And whoops. You've got to be a bit careful on the leaves. You've just got to be a bit gentle. You can't be as rough as I was on the... Not as rough as I am on the trunk. Okay, let me put my lid back on here. And let me see if I can get this to shine in the light. There we go. How are we going? I don't want to go too close to the camera because it might come out of focus. And then I have something flashing on my screen. I've got to wait. How does that look? Looks pretty cool. As I said, I will take some pictures at the end. And let's put some, I don't know whether I like the, let's do some finger work with the green, with the peacock over here and see if I can't get a bit of deeper colour into it. As I said, I haven't played as much with these on white gesso as I have on dark gesso. But let's just have a play because I can. That is actually darkening up. Ooh, that's actually looking quite nice. Darkening it up and getting a bit richer just on the top of the mermaid scales. When you do it with your finger, You're only touching the top of the surface. There goes my phone buzzing again. So I must be coming live on one of my feeds that I watch. I've been enjoying all the videos. I've been catching a few of the other demonstrators at the craft show, Great Australian Craft Show. So that's handy because usually when I'm teaching, I'm at my table at the physical craft shows and I don't move all day, which I don't mind. It's certainly different doing it from home. I don't have bunnies in my ear. So this is actually, I'm liking this a bit more now. It was a bit before, but now I'm actually liking it a whole lot better. I don't know. If you were live, I could say you're liking it a whole lot more. It certainly is a different look. And when I go to add it to a scrapbook page, I will have to go and pick some papers and things. I might use the tag in my art journals. Oh, I've got our other tag. Where's our other tag? I thought I did I did do a small tag. We'll do that one as well. Might use the tag in my art journal. Oh, I'm liking that a lot better now. Bit deeper, richer colour. I'm not really a pastel person. Like, I admire shabby chic and I admire pastel things. Personally, it doesn't make my heart sing. This darker one makes my heart sing. But that has come up quite nice now with the peacock. So that will be beautiful on a scrapbook page. Let's put that up there and let's work on our last tags. We've got a few minutes left. So this one I painted white. So what colours are we going to do it? What we might do is see if we can reverse the colours. I'm going to do this green brocade is really light on this piece. So what I'm going to try to do is I'll go dark blue. So I'll go denim in the background with the brush. Total experimenting, Melinda, and great to do it on camera. Dark blue with the brush. Then I'm going to put the light over the top and see if we can get like a reverse look happening. Whoops. Way too much. Way too much. It's probably enough to do the whole tag. So I'm just going to do, and I'm losing hairs. This brush is very old. I found it in my stash. And I had to give it a bit of a haircut as well because something had glued up on the bottom of it. So let's see what we can do. The worst I can do is stuff this up and have to re-gesso it and start again. I have to go put my mother hat on in a minute and cook dinner, and then I can play some. I think I've got to do some prep for tomorrow's lives. And I want to put the heater back on because at the moment the heater's off and it's getting a bit chilly. Okay, now... And any that I'm putting on this bit of paper, this is a bit of like newsprint without newsprint on. This will be used in my art journal at some stage as well. So now I'm thinking, have I got a clean finger? Let's clean one of my fingers up. And yes, I'm a finger artist. I don't wear gloves. I just get things all over my fingers and they stay pretty most of the time. Now, I'm wondering if the green brocade, this might be a total non-experiment. We'll just get a little bit of that on my finger. I'm wondering if I can... No, I don't think it's going to show up. Might go to the copper. No, it's not going to show up. So it doesn't show up lighter over a darker surface. So we're just going to go back in with the brush. Work that in. Actually, we might go over with the peacock. That'd be nice. We'll see if that works. If not, we'll go the rich copper. Let's just throw every colour on it. We sometimes do that when we're doing examples for the shows. We start with one colour and go, oh, that'll work. Oh, no, we change it. Oh, this has got all smudge. Oh, this is, doesn't help when you do that upside down. So let's do this over the top. Ooh, I'm liking that. I've only put a little bit on with my finger. So it is growing on me on the white, but it's taking a while to get there. So I like products that you can get multi-uses or different colorways from, and certainly these are that sort of product. You can use them on, like on gesso and chipboard. You can gesso metal. You can gesso paper flowers. We've done that before. You can gesso like leaves, paper leaves, material flowers. This product will go over a lot of things, and it's great just to experiment. Will it work? If it doesn't work, what have you wasted? You're using next to nothing of the product. You waste a little bit of your time, and the worst comes to worst, you coat it with black gesso and hey, you start again. So I can see the definition of that. I'm not sure whether you are going to be able to. I'll just hold it up to the camera and see. It's getting a bit dark here. So I'm not sure whether you can see the raised areas are a bit more green and down below is a bit more blue. So that will conclude my decorating with, losing these little pots, playing with decorating chipboard with our waxes. So as you can see, you can get a very lot of results depending on what surface you put these waxes on, which is great because if you buy the one wax, you can get a dark green and a dark blue and then a light blue. So you can get a variety of colorways from the same pot, which is really handy. So I do like this one as well. These two will probably go together on the same page. I even like this one. So this is quite subtle and this is quite steampunky looking, and these look really cool too. And these ones, like this is blue in the background and with the copper on top, and this one's just with the copper on top. And then we've got our tree with our green and our copper. So by just fiddling around with 4 little pots of colour, you can get so many different varieties. I love this one. This one's really cool. I can see the blue, the green and the copper, just not sure whether you'll be able to. But I'll go see if I can snap some photos before we lose all light. Oh, there you can see it. Go see if I can snap some photos before you lose all the light and get this video edited and put up on YouTube, and then I'll share it to the Facebook group and you'll be able to see my demonstration. Bye for now. Thank you very much.